Hello and welcome to Antrim Outdoors. We've got some old footage to share with you. It's of Torch Lake whitefish when they used to skate around and chop some holes in the ice and chase them around and spear them, herd them up. And there's also some old snowdrift footage and the old plows that they used to have, some train footage, and the collection of ice for the summertime for your ice boxes. And all this footage was on a older reel-to-reel, and then it was put on a VHS, and some of you might have seen it. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it until now. And so what I did is took the VHS and took it to Mission Computers in Central Lake, where they took the footage and uploaded it, cleaned it up a little bit and enhanced it a little bit and put it on a file. So now I've uploaded it to Antrim Outdoors to share with you, and so you can share with everybody else. Great people at Mission Computers have helped me out a ton with this and other projects. So if you have any computer needs, make sure you stop in and see Mission Computers in Central Lake. Well, we're going to get going and hope you enjoy the video. And please share with your friends and family and get people to check out our channel. There's plenty more to come, and stop by and see us on Facebook, where we're going to be sharing everything that goes on in Antrim County that has to do with the outdoors. All right, well, I hope you enjoy the film.
8 feet below where we're standing. So that's the reason we have those long spears. These fellows are farm boys over in Milton Township of Antrim County. Consists of 3 Marilots, Walter, Don, and Carl. 2 howlers, Victor Sr. and his son Pete. 2 hoopers, Glenn and Ivan, who are brothers. And there's Floyd Goodman and Elmer Ruffett. And they tell us the proof of the pudding is the eating of it. And here you can tell they've had pretty good luck spearing. Ivan Hooper and his brother Glenn, and Victor Howler, one of the Goodmans, comparing notes. This ice is less than an inch thick, and it is so thin that the boys complained about skating uphill all day. And you'll notice as they get a hole in the ice that the water starts coming through, and they spread back so that they don't put pressure on it to overdo the situation and break through. But it is good, clean ice. Here the boys taking a few minutes out to go partially across the lake and pick up a deer which has been driven out there by dogs, probably the night before. They do not spear together in a situation like this, because if somebody went through, several would go through and maybe nobody to rescue. Torch Lake is a large lake, about 20 miles long, 3 miles wide, and up to 450 feet at the deepest part. In fact, in volume, it is land lake in Michigan. You notice how clear and smooth that ice is. This poor deer had his pelvic broken on the ice and was turned over to the Department of Natural Resources. And we'll go back out on the ice for a few more scenes. The object is to see the fish, skate it till it gets tired, chop a hole in the ice. And these long spears are needed to get down up to 15 to 18 feet to spear it. Doesn't take many whacks of the axe to get a hole. Enlarge it so you can get your fish. These are whitefish, legal spearing in this particular lake from October 15th through New Year's. Again, these fish will average from half pounds. Very nice catch, about 25 altogether, and 9 all in the crew. Well, we go further up the lake to what we call Eastport. And at Eastport, at the turn of the century, had located the Eastport Inn, which was known as a state road that went across the state of Michigan from east to west, or west to east to Alpena. And this is the end of where they use horses for transportation. And the folks down at Brownwood Resort wanted to move the inn down there and rehabilitate it for part of their resort. And the idea was to go across the ice, which is about 3 miles, but they didn't think about the ice giving way, which it did, as you see. So now the problem is how to get it out. This is a project of Cliff, Mary Louise, and Gary Morse of Central Lake. Notice the signed rooms. I think you could have rented a room that evening, very reasonable, but I'd suggest you bring your own blankets. Well, the tow truck also went through. The inn was taken apart board by board after being numbered, each board and frame of material numbered so it could be reassembled back on the land. To get the tow truck out, they had to saw a channel through the ice wide enough to bring the tow out. And here you see the old ice saw, which is used for many, many years in harvesting ice so we could have ice during the summer. Didn't have any way of manufacturing ice mechanically like we used to. And of course, this was many days before the electric ice box and freezer. Now, on a good cool morning, even though it might be 20 below, the water here in the river is not frozen, but the water is much warmer than the atmosphere and thus the steam. And the result of the steam are the frosts on the trees nearby, which in turn make a very beautiful setting. You see such things in pictures, but here it is. Further up the stream, where the current isn't quite so fast, had frozen over. If I recall right, it was about 20 below zero. Another favorite pastime in the winter after the lakes are frozen over is ice fishing. This is Mrs. Horace Howard from Rapid City over what we call Deepwater Point. And other people have other ways of, she used spears. These folks are using fish poles and jogging for the fish. All kinds of people and all kinds of equipment. But if you're a fisherman, doesn't matter what the circumstance is, you kind of like to go out and get the fish. During the winter time, we do have some storms from time to time, and this is looking down the main street of Blair, Michigan, and that is the village truck at that time. A lady who was the home ec teacher at Blair. And I learned years ago that when you look down the street and can't see any more than you do there, you stay home. Another little town over on the east side of the county is Alba. After a storm, this is unincorporated, so the county has to open up the roads. And this is a piece of equipment that's very capable of doing it. A Caterpillar tractor with a snowplow and side wings. ago, of course, before the advent of the automobile, we didn't worry about it. We just drove our horses and sleighs right on top of the snow and made do with what we had. Here we are north of Alba on US 31. Notice this old gas pump, which is a real antique nowadays. And here we're using milk buckets to fill up the truck with gasoline. It's a good thing the dairy inspector wasn't around about that time. Further north, the US 31 was open, or is closed. This is Paul Mosher. Used to run a hardware in Blair. Fellow here in the goggles is Sidney Daly, who is county road superintendent. Howard Tanner with his back to us. Notice we had this storm ended up with some rain, and that's pretty slippery. Doc Fate, who was clerk to the road commission, and here is the old Pennsylvania Railroad train coming by. That's a real locomotive, not one of the diesel jobs which we see today. This is the business end of the snow blower. Kind of reminds you of a giant sausage maker and grinder. And even though there's quite a lot of ice mixed in with it to that power, give it time, you can go through and open up the road pretty fast. Notice the front wheel drive, front wheel is spinning. Think of the manpower it would take to shovel that out by hand. Over in Mansalona, our Sheriff Howard Tanner. This is further north of Mansalona with one of the telephone poles, kind of buried in snow. Who said the snow doesn't get deep up this way? And here we are out on the road south of Mansalona with a new piece of equipment which the road equipment builder had put together and brought up to work. You can judge for yourself whether it works. Each blower is powered by an independent engine, and they can be adjusted to usually blow the snow the way the wind is blowing. A rather quiet day today, so you have no trouble blowing any way you want to. But that is a lot of snow. Making pretty good mileage there, even with all that snow in the way. Sometimes you wonder where your gas tax goes. Well, this is part of it.
When the snow comes to cover the ground.
Without equipment like this, we in the north would not be able to keep our automobiles running in the wintertime. Hydraulic cylinders which make these things possible. Here we go over the hill. Again, another view coming at us.
The world is your snowball.
Well, we hear a lot about Vail and Shoes Mountain and Shanty Creek and other ski resorts, but you can have skiing without having to go to these commercial places. In fact, this is a rural community out what we call Pleasant Valley. And the folks put their hay ropes together and put up some old automobile wheels and put a couple of extra wheels on the tractor and use that for the power of towing, making the ski tow. And it worked very well so that everybody, old and young alike, could work
you remember that those are marshmallow clouds
here and go skiing without any trouble. This is Dorton Gibbard.
and the sun is red.
Dorton was pretty much the fellow to engineer this program here. Here he is going up the hill on his ski toe.
See how it grows. That's how it goes. Whenever it snows, the world.
One of the big troubles about sliding down a hill is getting back up the hill, and it sure helps things when we have other means to get back up besides Shank's horses. Here's one of these little discs that they use. She didn't quite make it to the top of the hill. Another view down at the Blair Pond. Early one frosty morning, about 20 below zero again. Many years ago, we had to put up our own ice in order to keep refrigeration throughout the summer. Of course, nowadays, with the electric refrigeration and freezers and whatnot, it's put the ice, this kind of ice making, out of business. But, and just about the time that we got some of these labor-saving devices in, that's when the mechanical refrigeration and freezers come in. This is John Robinson, who was in the business of filling your ice house. And he had put together this saw, an engine, power. You notice the saw didn't go clear through the ice. It has to be sputted to break it loose. Back in the old days, this ice was all cut with a ice saw. And every once in a while, somebody would stand on the block they're sawing off, and of course, you know, they got themselves a good cold dip in the ice. Water. Stubbins down at Alden, who helped this. These are pretty good chunks of ice. I think they weigh around 200 pounds. Channel up to where the elevator takes it out of the water. Sure helps take some of the labor out of this job of putting up ice, as you see here. Nice, clean, clear ice. It doesn't take very long to fill the truck. Away he goes. And no sooner does he get out of the way until another truck shows up and backs into the spot. And away we go again. Start the little engine. Get the elevator working, and up goes the ice. You better stay out of the way, or you could get some toes jammed or foot or whatnot on those heavy cakes of ice. You have quite an efficient operation. You can put up a good many hundred cakes of ice a day. I think in the big storage, which Claude Kaufman owned, and these folks were filling right now, I think he put up about 5,000 cakes for the summer. And he sold the ice, cut it into various sizes, down at his filling station and garage. Well, here we come down to the ice house. Notice the pickle vats. This used to be quite an important industry in the area. Back up and away we go.